Are you tired of getting solder fumes in your face? Those fumes aren't just nasty, they're also toxic. You should have a solder fume extractor. Let me show you how to build one using cheap and available parts.
Hey guys, my name is Hans and welcome to my channel. My passion is building things with electronics, woodworking and metalworking. Okay, so a solder fume extractor is really quite a simple device. In the basic form it's just a fan. Having just a fan is better than nothing. Having a filter of some kind is of course good. It absorbs some of the fumes. This is just a regular kitchen stove filter. I actually cut it in half, you will soon see why. The box is where most of the magic happens. It has three compartments. The main compartment is the middle one. This is where the air enters from above. And then it goes through the filter, one filter on each side. On both of the sides I have just a regular computer fan. It's a 140mm fan, and these are really silent. Whatever fan you choose, make sure it's a silent one. Then the actual funnel, and this flexible hose thing. This is so satisfying. And then an adapter piece for just some regular ventilation pipe. All of these guys are actually 3D printed.
The 3D printed parts were designed by Marius Hornberger. You will find the link to Thingiverse in the description. Marius also has a great YouTube channel, make sure you check that out as well.
The filter are actually held in place just using some small magnets. I bought a stack of these tiny magnets. These are about 10 by 2 millimeters. Alright, so let's get to this build. Let me show you how I built it. The box is made from medium density fiberboard or MDF. I started by measuring and cutting the MDF to rough size. I used my track saw, but if you don't have one, a circular saw or a jigsaw works fine. Or even a hand saw, but I don't have the patience for that. With the 6 parts of the box cut out, I measured and marked the locations of the fans. I then used a drill bit to start a hole for the jigsaw, and then I used the jigsaw to cut the actual hole. I then made the left side piece, making sure it was a mirrored version of the right side piece. I made the hole on the top in exactly the same way as on the sides. I started gluing all the pieces together. I'm using regular wood glue and a brad nailer. If you don't have a brad nailer, you can use screws instead. Just make sure to pre-drill the holes, otherwise the MDF will crack. About here is where I realized I had made a mistake. The parts just won't go together as they should. Can you see what I've done wrong? I considered for a moment to take the whole project apart and start over. The fix was really easy. I just took it apart, used the hammers and some pliers to remove the brad nails, and that was it really. In the end it only took me about 2 minutes extra, so it wasn't really a big deal. The filters are held in place using some strips of MDF left over from a previous project. In hindsight, I should have used some other material like plywood or solid wood, because these were too thin and actually cracked. But it actually worked out in the end, so it wasn't that much of a problem. I had some wire mesh that I had left over from the previous project. I cut it down using a wire cutter and then attached it using a stapler gun. I tried cutting the filters in half using a knife and a straight edge, but that didn't work very well, so I resorted to using scissors instead. That worked much better. I used some M4 screws and nuts to hold the fans in place. I used a DC barrel connector to supply the 12 volts DC for the fans, and then some hot glue to keep it in place. The box needs to be reasonably airtight, so I used some window sealant strips to keep it somewhat airtight. The front is attached using some eccentric locks. Using some hot glue, I attached the air inlet on top of the box.
Alright, so here we are under my bench. As you can see, the pipe converts into a flexible hose thing and then attach it on the top of the filter box. So here's the back side of my lab bench, and I made these two kind of brackets or hooks or whatever you would call them from some aluminium bar that I bent and just screwed onto the box to make sure that the box stays just a tiny bit above the floor to make sure I can still move the bench. Alright, so everything installed by the bench and up and running, and you're probably wondering, does this thing actually work? Let me show you. As you can see, almost all of the smoke is actually catched by the funnel. If I keep it out here, it doesn't catch everything. So I have to keep it pretty close, about 5 centimeters. So there could be some improvements to make there. Maybe having more fans would help, I'm not sure. Another issue is this. It won't quite stay where you put it. But most of the time you want to solder close to the bench anyway, so that doesn't concern me very much. This was a fun project. It took me a couple of hours to build it and a couple of days to edit the video. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. If not, leave a thumbs down. Or don't. In any case, thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe.